Hello, everyone. Welcome to High Thrive Live, our weekly live stream answering questions from you. My name is Mark Johnston. I'm the marriage expert here with High Thrive Coaching. And this week's topic, we're um, addressing the issue of losing hope that things could work. Now, I know a lot of you out there have been struggling with problems in your marriage for a long time. I know a lot of you have had doubts or having suspicions that, no matter what you do, that things just aren't going to work. And I wanted to talk to you about that because that's absolutely not the case. There are very few circumstances where I would say, okay, there's absolutely nothing that can be done. And in many cases, people just aren't in those situations. There are solutions out there, and there is a lot of hope for many of you. So some of the things that I wanted to talk about today, I wanted to talk about this idea of losing hope and how this affects your circumstances, how this affects your efforts in working on the marriage. I also wanted to talk about, what can you do about these hopeless situations and what to do when about these factors that are out of your control, the decisions of your partner. So starting with mindset. Now, like I said, I get it. A lot of you, are in these situations where you think, okay, nothing can be done here. And it starts to eat away at your confidence that there's any sort of solution out there. And I will tell you that mindset, that line of thought, those emotions involved there is very much working against your chances. Heather and I, we are really big on fostering a good mindset to achieve what you want out of life. It's through working on this mindset that we have created a successful business, that we've created this audience, or not created, drawn in an audience. It is by fostering a positive mindset and a mindset that believes in solutions that, we are where we are today. It's for that reason that I have a healthy marriage when, by all means, I probably should have had a lot more problems in my own marriage. My wife and I, we've gone through a lot of troubles, and we've also overcome a great many things by fostering a positive mindset. So I just want you to imagine a situation like this. Let's say that you want your marriage to work, that your partner is pulling away from you, or there's just problems in general. So let's say that you approach this believing that there is no hope, that nothing can work. How do you think that's going to affect how you approach your spouse, how you approach problems or concerns? Let's say that your partner themselves are also somewhat negative, losing a little bit of hope. How do you think it's going to affect your chances? Now, likely, if there are solutions that come your way, if there are some possibilities, it's much less likely for you to accept those possibilities or to accept that there could be something that could be done for your situation. And so mindset, how you think and how you feel about your chances here, is going to have a huge impact on whether this can be successful or not. Certainly, there are a lot of things that you can do to foster a more positive mindset. I'm a big proponent of daily exercises, meditation, and daily affirmations, things like that. That you can certainly talk to us if you need some inspiration on what to do there. Now, as far as what can you do in these hopeless situations? I mean, there's always solutions out there. Your spouse, if they are the one that's pulling away, there are specific concerns that they have, specific risks involved into coming back into the marriage, specific solutions that can be used to address these concerns. So, for example, if your spouse believes that, okay, nothing's ever going to change, that you're never going to change, and that's why they can't come back into the marriage, there are things that you can do to address even their lack of hope that anything can be different. If there's specific hurts involved, specific pain, if there's been a breach in trust, if there's been infidelity, there are ways to build that trust back up. It might take some time, it's going to take some effort, but even if these things are present, there are things that you can do. Now, as I continue to go through, the topic today, if you guys have questions, if you have things that you want to bring up, if you have specific circumstances that you want to talk about, please let me know. I'm paying attention to the comments here, and I would love to answer your questions. So let's take some of these specific concerns as an example. Let us pretend that there has been some infidelity in the past, that your husband or your wife is really hurt, and they just can't come about, they can't find in themselves to forgive you. What's the concern there? Their concern is if they come back into the relationship that they're going to be hurt again. That if they open themselves up, then that trust might be broken again. So if we had to really pinpoint it, they're concerned that being in the relationship is just going to be painful in some way. We can take that and we can set some very clear expectations, some very clear promises to address some of these hurts here. For instance, if it's been about infidelity, we want to give some measure of control over the situation, and we want to allow the partner to have a sense of security coming back in. So we might set up expectations about communication on a regular basis. We might set up situations where maybe you're going and getting some help to resolve the issues that caused the infidelity to begin with. We might, anyways, we give some measure of control and we address the concerns coming back in. And as we do that, as we build up trust, a lot of these concerns drop, and there becomes hope again in the marriage. Now let's say that, okay, you've been making changes, that you've been doing all the things that you need to do to rebuild their relationship, and the problem here is just your partner. They don't see the changes. They don't have any hope that anything can be different. This is something outside of your control, many people think. And yes, you cannot directly control how someone else thinks or feels, but even there are things that you can do to affect the chances of whether your partner will consider the relationships. We might say, okay, their love is out of your control, but have you really given a large measure of love and understanding to the situation? Have you given a large amount of care and concern? Are there still fights, negativity? Are there snippy comments? Is there a lot of defensiveness? There are things that are getting in the way of your partner returning. And even though, yes, you cannot control your partner, you can control whether these obstacles to coming back into the relationship are still present. You can do something about their concerns and the risks involved coming back into the relationship. And so while, yes, your partner is not under your control, a lot of the factors that are preventing them from coming back are within your control. And as soon as the value inside the marriage, coming back into the marriage, is much greater than the value in leaving the marriage, a lot of the resistance, a lot of the problems considering the relationship again start to disappear. They fade away. So are these situations hopeless? Even if your partner says they don't love you anymore, even if they said that they're done, is the situation hopeless? Absolutely not. We have specific solutions. We have specific things that we can do to address the obstacles that are getting in the way. Now, with all of that said, I understand that there's probably still some hesitation on your part, whether you can go through these changes, whether you can get the help that's needed. And a lot of what I tell people is there's always some way through all this. There's absolutely a solution out there in just about every circumstance. Now, there are a few circumstances, like I mentioned at the beginning, where I will say that their chances are very slim whether this would work. But those are few and far between. You know, if your partner is actively seeing someone else and actively committed to them, as in making big commitments, if they're engaged or making plans for marriage, that's a situation that's very unlikely to change or for you to be able to get your partner back. If there is absolutely no communication between you and your partner anymore, that's also another situation where I would, this would be very difficult to change. Not impossible, but very difficult. And if you yourself have a lot of difficulty in making changes or demonstrating that things can be different, then that's another circumstance that might make it more difficult to win your spouse back. But like I said, in many, many cases, the marriages are salvageable. There are fixes out there. There are things that we can do, and this is stuff that Heather and I help people with every day. So if you, once again, if you have questions, if there are some concerns that you would like me to address right now, I would love to answer those. I'm not seeing any comments yet. So if you don't have any questions right now, please feel free to leave a comment, leave a question throughout the day. We do check these, the comments here, and we do try to answer them as best as we can. If there is no questions right now, I appreciate everyone watching and trying to get some help. If you do need some help, please let either Heather or I know. You can feel free to message us on Facebook. We're always willing to accept message requests or even friend requests if that's needed, and we're here to help you. So thank you for watching, and okay, so yeah, we have some people saying that they sent some private messages. I'll address those privately. Thanks, Heidi, and I'll get to you in a bit. Anyways, thank you everyone for watching, and let us know if we can help.